Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Have been enjoying your day so far, and with the kickoff classic less than a week away now, a lot of questions have been raised these last few days as to whether Black Ops Card War is in a sufficient state to get this league underway. Of course, it's happening whether they like it or not. It's, well, damn right better happen, right, given the amount of time it's been since the World Championship concluded in Modern Warfare right at the end of August now, several months, behind us. But of course, a lot of issues in this game right now. Search and Destroy, Hardpoint, as we're going to look at over the coming minutes here, and a number of the pros saying, like, this is pretty broken, that's pretty broken, and well, a lot of things need to be fixed if this game is going to be in a good state. I mean, comparing this game, for example, to something like Modern Warfare, I think we are significantly in a much better position than we were, for example, this time last year, but still, well, the complaints come thick and fast regardless. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, this from Doug sent to Martin, dropped off his team a couple of days ago, just before this most recent Challenger Cup, which is still ongoing, and well, as Doug says, free agent with an org if you want salary, the best player not in the league, bang my line. So yeah, Doug super confident as always, but yeah, free agent with an organisation, so it seems like Doug's got an org behind him potentially. I think he was playing here with this pickup team of Bink, Super and Fame, but well, 33 and 13 in one of these early round matchups, absolutely frying. Doug sent to Martin getting back on the main stage, but yeah, speaking of censor, in this reply to, well, Priestahh right here, this actually was the image on a bigger screen, I just thought I'd bring it up because, well, Doug never fails to entertain, but Priestahh says, stupidest map in COD history, cannot believe we are playing this. So I'll just, well, exactly share what's going on here. So this, of course, is Crossroads, the P3 to P4 rotation. You've got number 1, I mean, all these blue arrows right here are the New York subliners, guys, and number 3 is Priestahh, so they're playing in the back, they're locking down these spawns for the new hill, and I think they're playing against the Florida Mutineers. Player number 5 manages to sneak through, get a couple of kills right here, and it looks like, well, Priestahh is in a pretty dire position. All of his teammates go down, but Priestahh picks up a massive 3-piece right here, 1, 2, 3, takes out player number 8 coming out the building, and well, his teammates are spawning over here on this side, player number 2 to player number 4, and you would imagine at this point, okay, the hill's just about rotating, number 6 is the only guy alive on the Florida Mutineers, his teammates are spawning over here, you would imagine the rest of the guys on the Florida Mutineers would spawn maybe low street or something, but as you can see right here, player number 5 I think spawns right next to Priestahh, and then as Clay gets in this gunfight and takes him out again, so Priestagh's going absolutely huge, doing his best to lock down spawns, player number 7 just spawns right behind him, and then player number 8 as well, take him out, so they spawn literally right on the hill, Priestahh just gets pinched, and again, this is an example of questionable spawns. We saw a lot of questionable spawns, let's not forget, back in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, but here in Black Ops Card War on Crossroads especially, there are, especially around this P4 hill, some interesting situations, and for a while, the pros I think GA'd this entire map with the intention of not playing it in competitive play, but as you can see, realistically, you could argue that Florida Mutineers should be spawning somewhere low street, or at least below this hop-up, right? But yeah, spawning right up here and then behind Priestahh probably isn't ideal given, well, given the situation as it transpired there. But the complaints aren't just about a map like Crossroads Hardpoint, you've also got many search and destroy issues being brought up. As JCap looked at, we talked about yesterday, just because it was in Black Ops 2 doesn't mean Express was that good of a map. As Ake says, look, it was sure a pretty good S&D map in Black Ops 2, probably though will be a terrible S&D map in Card War. Kind of talked about this maybe complaining for complaining's sake, but of course there are some fair points maybe that come out as a result of this, and well, as JCap says, the way you engage in gunfights in this game is so much different than it was back in Black Ops 2. Those loose tunnel gunfights, these tunnels, around by the Arrival's departures area of Express that you guys might remember, but yeah, I think Jacob has a fair point that with the M8 back in the day, these were long-range fights, so these felt like difficult fights to win, the aim assist wasn't super strong, but nowadays people would just go out there and get insta-killed by a 74U or something, has potentially to be a good S&D map I guess, but not going to celebrate it as yet, and one-way smokes are in a major difficult situation I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced if you guys have played this game relatively recently, but as Slasher says, S&D just needs a complete rework in this game at the moment. It doesn't matter how good a map is with this current playstyle, and well, this is some of the concern right now, because we've got the snipers, we talked about the GA on the attachments earlier today, exactly what that might mean for search and destroy. A lot of people would argue the maps are in a questionable state with the fact that the 74 you can just map ARs on something like Raid, for example, top red or top artist people call it, to top laundry was well, that's a pretty big deal. A lot of people saying, okay, the 74U can just map people on that. It couldn't, used to do it back in the day on Black Ops 2, for example. The SMGs in that game, the MSMC, wasn't able to just gun an M8 out of that top laundry window. Nowadays it can, and that kind of changes the way the game is played. And also the smokes are the major issue, right? Because you've got, okay, we've got sniper rifles, we want to have some decent search and destroy strats, we want the smoke grenades to actually be viable to block off a line of sight, and the smoke grenades really in the entirety of Call of Duty history have been pretty solid. They've always been a little bit dodgy. I mean, they haven't been like a Counter-Strike smoke, for example. A Counter-Strike smoke is literally ideal. You plonk it down, and it just blooms to exactly the same size every single time, and you can't see through it. It's completely opaque would be the word. In this game, that's very much not the case. Very inconsistent. For some reason, you can see through them sometimes, you can't see through them other times. Sometimes you get aim assists, sometimes you don't. And I think smokes are really the major concern in this game, because you want to have smokes in the game to actually enable some strategies. So, okay, you can hit A, but maybe you smoke that, you smoke this to throw off the enemy point of view. I'm sure the game would be very one-directional, really, if there was no smoke grenades in the game entirely. But maybe that's a better game to play than having smokes in the game and being very broken right now. Because as much as GAs might be going too far, smokes are, well, pretty broken right now. And honestly, it's very, very frustrating the fact that you're shooting at someone, they go into a corner, they chuck a smoke grenade down, you can't see them at all, but they're just sitting inside the smoke and they can see everything around them because of some glitch. I don't know if it's on the server side, not sure if it's on the client side, but yeah, a major issue that people are complaining about right now. Also, the maps are a concern, right? Checkmate, Garrison, Miami, Moscow, Raid, as we just talked about, given the way the gunfights work in this game. You could argue these maps, or Raid, for example, isn't as good as it was back in the day, and some pros saying that, yeah, maybe Express, when it does come into the game. We've got these other things about a standoff coming back as well, so that's also an exciting prospect for a couple of months' time. But a lot of pros don't seem to like Miami. I've seen a lot of complaints also about Garrison and also about Checkmate, so it seems like every map right now kind of has its haters. And then, of course, you've got the smoke grenade question, so as Brian Saint says yesterday over in the Minnesota Rokkr, the current one-way smoke meta might be the corniest thing I've ever seen in competitive S&D. And as he continues with, keep in mind, I also played back in the Stone Age, this being like back in COD 4, for example, when players were running a 3x nade perk when no flak jacket was a thing. But still, the one-way smokes may be the worst thing we've ever seen in competitive search and destroy. So it's unclear exactly what Treyarch could potentially do about this. Can it even be fixed? Can these smoke grenades be fixed? You'd imagine they could be, but well, why is it taking this long? Why has there been no acknowledgement of these issues? I'm sure the pro players must be talking to Treyarch about this and saying, like, why can't we fix the smoke grenades? What's going on here? Why can't you just put out a patch or a hotfix or something? Like, they don't operate like they used to back in the day. Back in a game like Black Ops 2 or Ghosts or even World War 2, the smoke grenades weren't exactly completely consistent, but they worked relatively as you would expect them to. And well, in this game, that certainly does not seem to be the case. Saint also talking about some other issues as well. The fact that COD weapons desperately need less attachments, more strafe speed and more recoil. It's getting easier and easier to shoot every single year. And yeah, the Black Ops 2 MSMC, the COD 4 MP5, for example, you can't just beam people across the map like you can nowadays with the 74U. It's interesting the direction this has taken, because certainly the weapons these last several years have, well, reduced in their recoil. They seem to be easier to control than they used to back in the day. But you could also argue that the pros just get rid of weapons which are difficult to control, right? Something like the AK-47, yes, it's very, very strong and kills very quickly indeed, but it was pretty much the only weapon in the game, or the FAMAS, for example, the FFAR, which hasn't really been GA'd, but it just was figured out they wasn't really particularly viable. But those weapons actually had some recoil, they actually had some kick to them, they played a little bit differently than, well, a straight laser beam AR like the Krig, or kind of like the XM4. The XM4 does have a little bit of recoil to control, but well, it's not like it was back in the day. And the 74U obviously is pretty much a straight up laser beam. And as Saint says, for reference, on Raid in Cold War, you can casually pull up to top art on it with a sub and gun an AR out of top laundry. If you tried that back in Black Ops 2, I would think you were on literal drugs. Yeah, where are the Black Ops 2 clips of subs fade away mapping someone or just ripping them off head glitches, says Slasher. So well, definitely some, well, concerns from the pro players that these weapons are too easy to control nowadays. And just another kind of complaint, another issue in the game. Is this really a big deal, right? It seems like we come from Modern Warfare last year, where everything was pretty much a disaster. We were playing domination competitively the entirety of the year. The spawns just didn't make sense on pretty much any map. We had 5v5. Now we're into 4v4. We've got a track title. The maps seem relatively decent. But yeah, there's always things to complain about. And of course, there's always things that could be better in the game. But it seems to me that the game may be in a better state than is being portrayed here. But the one-way smokes to me are the major issue right now. If that was fixed and either smoke grenades just leave the game entirely, or they actually can be used as they are intended to be used without this kind of one-way effect, then we're probably in a pretty decent position. We've also got some concerns from Octane, for example, scanner repair. That's a big issue that's still, well, still infecting the game right now. I think Formal used to get it all the time. Nowadays, he seems to just get it after the end of maps, where the game effectively just crashes for whatever reason. Nobody really knows why. Just a couple of things to finish off the video I thought were pretty interesting right here, as Breaking Point say, what hand gestures would be a great addition to Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War? Thought this FaZe up one was pretty cool, so yeah, maybe there can be some things like this coming in the coming days. I think Dabs had a good reply as well, gotta be this one. And well, this also, your birth month is your CDL 2021 team. How is your year looking? So I'm getting Seattle Surge, so I need Octane to turn up for the boys. Hopefully I don't get smoked this year once again, but surely they cannot be worse than last year. You would imagine the Kickoff Classic, we're going to see these guys in action against the Los Angeles Guerrillas very soon indeed. In great to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.
Oh!
Oh. Oh! Time to pay up.
Yo, so do I need to give you my PayPal? How does that work? What about my PayPal? What about my PayPal? What about that 1K? What about that 1K? What about the 1K? Look at this, look at this, look at you're the last kill. You're the last kill, you're the last kill. Oh! That was you at the end. Oh! Safe to say I won that little interaction.
Oh, you're a idiot.
Yeah.
What do you think, boys? I put that guy in his place or what?
Oh
You got
my
it for sure.
god.
For sure.
Bro, you are such a